Hey, what's up, everyone? We're back for another episode of Cape Talk. I'm Autumn.
And I'm Phil.
And today is the day we get to talk about Spider-Man Homecoming.
Finally, it's been a while.
We saw it like a week ago. I saw it a week ago. You saw it a little later.
I saw it like a day or two after you.
Mm-hmm.
But it's been a while since we actually had an episode of Cape Talk. The last one was the Wonder Woman episode. So, life and E3s and all that crazy stuff happened. But,
little vacation time.
Yeah. So,
4th of July.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Summertime, So we're gonna have little breaks here and there, but we're back.
We're back, and we're gonna be having a busy week too with Comic-Con coming up.
Yes.
So yeah.
We might be having an episode while we're out there. So stay tuned for that.
It's all Spider-Man Homecoming.
Yeah, Spider-Man was good.
That was your first impression? Good?
It was good. No, because I don't want to say too much right away. You got to give a little bit. So it was really good. Obviously, spoilers.
Spoilers from now on. Yeah.
We're going to be talking a lot of spoilers, post-credit stuff, future.
Breaking down some of those action scenes.
Yeah.
Villains.
Twists, turns, and all that good stuff. So, but yeah, I guess, what did you
My
overall?
first impressions?
Yeah.
Overall, I very much enjoyed it. It was one of those movies where it was like you could probably eat a whole bin of popcorn within like 15 minutes. You know what I mean? Because it's like he's just going around Queens, like swinging from backyards, and it's just like you're just like shoving it in your mouth. It's just like so enjoyable. Yeah. So I appreciated that on that level, regardless of any critiques I may have. It was a fun movie to watch.
Yeah, I enjoyed it a lot, actually. Probably more than I expected, maybe.
More than I expected, yeah.
Because this is like the second reboot for Spider-Man, so...
Let me ask, are you a Tobey Maguire, Andrew Garfield
I'm definitely
guy?
a Tobey Maguire guy.
Okay.
Because those movies are really good. Even the third one is not as bad as everyone makes it out to be, personally.
You think so?
Yeah, it's bad. But it's not like...
It's still like the worst Spider-Man movie, though, right? It's still the worst.
No, Amazing Spider-Man 2 is terrible.
Yeah, that's true. But
Amazing Spider-Man 2
I
is
might choose
terrible.
watching Andrew Garfield in that movie more than watching 70-year-old man
just...
Tobey Maguire at that point. He's like
so
70.
Messed up.
He's
not
70.
70.
Yes, he is. He's an old-ass man in, like, pretending to be a child.
Anyway. Now, a lot of people say this online, like, Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man are from, like, two different eras of Spider-Man. So, like, the Andrew Garfield stuff is more 90s, early 2000s, I guess. And then Tobey Maguire is way more Silver Age. Yeah. 70s, 80s. But,
Tom Holland's, like, a perfect mixture between the two.
He's definitely the Ultimate Universe version of Spider-Man, where it's just, he's a kid, obviously. He's in high school still. And... yeah,
he's kind of one of those new age geeks, you know what I mean? Like, Tobey Maguire was, like, a straight nerd. You know what I mean? Like, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, he's way... That's why, like, how he's portrayed when he's first, like, in the first issue of Amazing Fantasy 15 or whatever that one is.
But, like, I feel like Tom Holland is, like, a cool nerd. Like, a nerd that, like, gets hot girls. Like, you know what I mean?
What, because he's good looking, you think?
Maybe. He is more good looking than Tobey Maguire.
That's
kind of creepy.
That's not...
Tom Holland's very, but...
Well, he's only 20, 21?
On Twitter, people were like, they're like, the first thing I did when I got out of Spider-Man was look up Tom Holland's age. And I was like, you're a creep.
Well, he's supposed to be a sophomore in
15.
high school. So, yeah, he's 15 years old.
Mm-hmm. What do you think about starting early in high school compared... Because that's unlike the other movies.
Yeah, like, Andrew Garfield, I don't even know... Was he in high school in that movie?
I want to say junior. I want to say maybe senior.
I feel like... Definitely in the first movie, yeah, he was in high school, for sure. And then the second one, he was out. They were out. They were going into college or whatever. I liked it more than I thought I was going to like it, because the Tobey Maguire movies, they were quick. He was in high school for, like, the first 15, 20 minutes, and he was out of it. Him being entirely in high school really doesn't affect the plot, I feel. Like, it's not very high school-y in a way. It's hard to explain.
Sorry, I just sneezed. I sneezed quietly.
Try to sneeze. Do what you gotta do. But, like, it helps with the character. Like, I had to keep reminding myself he's supposed to be a kid. Because he was, like, really whiny for most of it. It was just like, hey, Tony Stark, I'm here. Come on, let me join the Avengers, like, every 2 seconds.
Why aren't you responding to my text message?
That's pretty much what it was. But it's like, okay, he's 15 years old. This is how they kind of act. I don't remember how I acted at 15. It's been a while. So.
I mean, what I liked, and I think what got them out of that what could have been like a challenge was that it was established as a teen comedy. And when I went into the theaters, the first 20 minutes I was like, oh, this is what they're going for. It's like a straight up teen movie.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree with that, and that definitely helps. But it's so hard. Like I said, it's the second time you're rebooting it. We've had 5 previous Spider-Man movies, so it's kind of hard just to jump in.
Right.
And then we already introduced him in Civil War, so it was like, I don't know.
And they tied that in. They tied the Civil War in, where it
early,
opens. It opens with the Vulture's backstory, maybe like 10 minutes, which is a new strategy. We've never seen it open with just footage of the villain like that. And then it goes right into his. I guess he brought a cell phone with him to the Avengers thing.
So you pretty much get to see like how Tony Stark brought him over to Europe.
Yeah.
I guess they were in Europe, I think, at the end of Civil War. And him, like, you saw his, like, when the airport fight.
Yep.
Yeah, that you had like the behind the scenes kind of stuff with that, and that was cool. I didn't like it. Like, it was fine, but I personally didn't like it. Like, I think it bogged down the movie in the beginning. I knew what they were trying to go at. Like, okay, hey, this is in the MCU.
Right.
Hey, this is a kooky Spider-Man Peter Parker. He's like millennial kind of guy. But I don't know. It took me a while to get into this movie, and that's the part that I did not help.
The beginning was the weakest, but I think that was in place of telling his origin story, because that kind of filled in that gap of the origin, and so it kind of, the introduction that way, including that footage in the movie, just kind of made it okay that we're not knowing where Peter got his powers, what happened to Uncle Ben, and to like introduce that behind the scenes Avengers kind of thing where Tony takes him under his wing. I guess kind of acted as that backstory that we needed, even though that wasn't, the movie to me lacked emotional depth, and I think that the teen comedy part helped with that, where we weren't necessarily expecting to learn more about him as a person, you know what I mean? By the midway, you're like, no, this is just going to be a fun movie where he's just going to go and take down his first big bad.
Yeah. I mean, it definitely helped with the context of the whole movie. Like, it gave us 6 months after Civil War is when we're in the present day. So we got some context for that. We get context for, like, the first Avengers movie, which is Vulture's origin.
Right.
Which we'll get to a little bit. But it was definitely not a traditional origin movie.
No.
How did you feel about that? Did you like it?
I'm always the advocate for something different. And you know what? I can't criticize somebody for stepping out of the box and doing something that hasn't been done before. So I do appreciate that, because we do see a lot of the same old, even Wonder Woman, as unique as it was, we've seen that format before. It's a very familiar origin format.
And we've seen it so many times already, twice already. Everyone knows Spider-Man. It's like, these are, what was it, 3? Spider-Man, Batman, and Superman. Everyone knows those 3 origins.
Right.
Like, it's been, hammered in from birth.
Right.
Like, how they got their powers and whatever. So we don't need to see it. We've seen it twice. We don't need to see it again. I wish they would have brought up Uncle Ben at least once.
Right.
Just to give us that nod that this is kind of like you said, the emotional depth of everything. Like, a lot of what makes Spider-Man is Uncle Ben's death.
That trauma.
Yeah. That he is Spider-Man because of Uncle Ben. You know, without Uncle Ben's death, you don't get Spider-Man the way he is anyway now. But the only, I guess, the nod, and we talked about this off camera, was when they said, when his friend, I forgot his name now. Ned. When Ned says, does Aunt May know that you're Spider-Man? It's like, no, she's been through enough already.
Right.
And I'm thinking, that's Uncle Ben's death. So we don't know if they're going to go the same lines of this guy just shot him.
But you know what the strategy there might have been is that Marvel knows that the viewers aren't dumb. Marvel knows that the viewers know. So them not telling us is like feeding into that fan culture where it's like, we already know Spider-Man's origin. No matter how you want to spin it, we know the basis of that. Yeah. We probably can infer that Uncle Ben died in the Battle of New York. We can probably infer that, Aunt May feels some type of way. Like, we've already seen this, and I feel like they don't want to undermine our intelligence.
Not to, like, undermine your theory.
No, of course.
But it's like, how long ago was the Battle of New York?
The timeline issue, is that what you're pointing out?
Yeah. It's like, in real time, how long ago was that? 5 years ago?
I don't know. I'm not good with that stuff.
Man.
You're the numbers person.
Iron Man came out in 2008.
2008.
2008, yeah. It's only 10 years. So Avengers must have came out in
2010, maybe?
11? That's almost 7 years ago.
Yeah.
So in real time, 7 years ago, I'll give it 5
so
years.
So what you're pointing out is Tom Holland would be like extremely
really young.
Yeah.
And like he was not Spider-Man at that time, you know.
I think he what's their relationship like? Maybe that's why he's not so affected because he was so young. Maybe.
Yeah, because if he was killed in a battle in New York and the Avengers essentially caused the battle of New York,
right?
You know, with no regard to death, really. It's hard. Obviously, it's hard when an alien army comes along, but. You would think, like, oh, you guys are kind of the cause of my uncle's death, and he has no qualms with Iron Man at all.
Well, maybe he just doesn't know the extent. Maybe he's too naive, and maybe that's going to be a plot point later on in Infinity War where he's like, oh, wait, Tony Stark maybe isn't as good of a guy as I thought.
Maybe. But I think the timeline also is just weird. Because if he did die, then he was 10.
They did jump a lot in this movie.
Yeah, he would be 10 years old. And
right.
Normally Spider-Man's origin is Bit uses his power for selfish gain, Ben dies, great power comes great responsibility, he becomes Spider-Man.
Right.
And if he was 10 years old, he was not Spider-Man at 10 years old.
Yeah. But they're moving fast, though. Aunt May already knows the identity by the end.
Yeah, we're getting a little ahead of ourselves, but...
we already spoiler warned, all right?
We're trying to get
I know. I'm not organized. It's your job to keep me organized.
But yeah, I mean... I wish we would have got a little bit more of a nod to Ben, but we'll say we got like 3 more movies.
Ben. You can watch him. No, this is.
I guess this is
crude to say. We could watch him die, like if you want to go watch the old Spider-Man movies. That Andrew Garfield scene. Oh my god.
I thought it was really handled well in Amazing Spider-Man. And in some regards, the Tobey Maguire one too. So I kind of like that for the emotional gut punch, and we don't get. We'll go into that now.
Yeah.
Like his emotional depth, like. It's very humorous movie, you know. I'm a kid, I'm innocent. You said like the only emotional grasp was when he was like about to die.
And he was like crying under the rubble.
Yeah, like the vulture got him into a trap in a warehouse and like kind of collapsed the whole building on top of him, and then in classic Spider-Man fashion just goes.
He didn't have his like special suit then, right? He just was wearing
he just wore his because. I can't get her, but Iron Man took away his suit.
Yeah.
Like, Iron Man took it away because of what happened on the ferry.
Right.
Pretty much, and, like, people almost died.
Yeah.
So, he took it away, so he used his, like, original suit that he created. So, he has no crazy web shooter stuff, but, you know, he uses his own strength.
If only he had those Spidey senses, he might have been able to...
avoid.
Yeah,
We're getting ahead of ourselves, Autumn.
How is that ahead?
Because I have talking points here.
Well, you just said the ferry happened after the rubble.
Because I have to say how he lost his suit. Okay. Because of the ferry. But
all right, well...
I'm trying to talk about the emotional gut punches.
But that was a scene. That was a very emotional scene. And for me, what was emotional
getting his taken... Oh, him almost dying, yeah.
That was, to see him cry like that, and that's what a kid would do.
Yeah, he was, like, asking for help. Yeah. Like, he was screaming for help, because it's like, he's still 15 years old, you know, and he has to deal with bad guys.
Yeah.
But, like, when you were saying that, another scene came up in my head, and I'm trying to remember. Into the river? No, that's your traumatic.
I was so traumatized by that moment. I was like, this is my worst fear.
Oh, man. What was it? It was in my head, but I didn't want to cut you off when you were talking about it.
Not the villain scene, right?
No. It'll come to me later.
So now you're going to be the one going off track.
Yeah. Definitely agree with you with the rubble on top of him. That was like, oh, really? Like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, man, there was another one. Anyway.
But Iron Man.
Well, that's another one, too, when Iron Man takes it away.
Yeah.
Because he's, like, his surrogate father, in a way. Right. Where he's just, like, that's why he keeps, like, oh, come, I want to hang out with you, sort of thing. I want to join the Avengers. And Tony Stark's like, no, stop. Like, just, you're a kid. Because he understands he's a kid. Like, no, you know, I needed you for that one big fight.
Why did they really need him, though?
I don't know.
They didn't.
I mean, in that world, they needed him as, like, I guess a wild card, because no one expected him. No one knew who he was, sort of thing. So,
speaking of Iron Man, like, what did you think about Iron Man's presence?
going into it, I was very afraid because he was in all of their, promotional material, and he was in all the trailers and everything. And pretty much what's in the trailers is what's in the movie. But it was handled better than I expected.
Yeah.
I still think it was a little too heavy-handed with him. Mm-hmm. Like, the ferry one made sense. Getting thrown into the river did not need Iron Man.
Yes, are you serious?
No, it did not need Iron Man.
What are you going to expect him to do? Swim up out?
Yes. You could have saved himself.
No, yes. That was a tough plunge.
No, someone else.
And meanwhile, it's all Iron Man's fault. All the shit that Peter's going through because Iron Man is destroyed shit with the Avengers. And then he's blaming it on poor Peter Parker. No, the Vulture's your problem, Iron Man.
That's one thing that is brought up when they have their like final confrontation when he takes away his suit. It's like, well, I've been telling you for all this time, and you're not believing me. Blah 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 blah. I don't know. I don't know. He was just too much into it. Like the Civil War stuff, I didn't like. So that's all him. Them two together. Then, the river scene when he wasn't actually in the suit.
I wasn't expecting Iron Man at that moment.
No,
so that's why I liked it.
Yeah. I just felt like, he's just handicapping him. Like,
And it did make him seem weak because, to me, every action scene, I was like, where's Iron Man? Because I wanted to see Iron Man
This is the same guy. Because this is what makes no sense. Because this is the same Spider-Man who held his own against Cap, Ant-Man, all those people in that airport scene. Held his own, right? And then now he can't freaking get out of the water.
But like Iron Man said, they're going easy on him. Cap would never really hurt you or whatever.
If he really wanted to, he would have really... I guess. I don't know.
Because maybe they just brought him in as a distraction. Tony Stark would do some bull like
that. No, that's what I agree.
Yeah,
like, they brought him in, like, for sure. Just be like, I don't know who this kid is or what he can do. But it was just like, I don't know. Like, they're not telling us or giving us a concrete timeline of how long he's been Spider-Man.
Right.
Is, like, what's bugging me.
Yeah.
Like, okay, 6 months after Civil War... And how long before that?
Right.
Was it months?
Yeah.
I presume it was like another 4 or 5 months.
Yeah.
So he's only been for a year, a little less than a year.
And now he's about to be like in Infinity War.
Yeah, so I understand that part, but then you go into Civil War and be like, he freaking held his own.
Yeah.
And so it's just like, what am I supposed to think? This is the Spider-Man from Civil War who's a badass? Or he's the scared kid? I don't know.
Yeah, you're right. It almost would have worked better if they did this, like, before Civil War.
Yeah, like, it would have worked a little better. If I'm like, he's a little helpless. Mm-hmm. Like, he didn't seem helpless in Civil War. He was fine.
Yeah, he did not seem helpless.
So, I don't understand, but that's just my nitpicking. Mm-hmm. Iron Man Iron Man's role was well-defined in, like, the surrogate father kind of pushing him to show him that he should stay... Like, this is a little bigger than him. Yeah. And Spider-Man's always been, like, that kind of street-level hero. Right. Like, I'll stay in New York and do what I got to do in New York.
I'll save the bodega cat.
Yeah, save your favorite the bodega. Yeah. I'm glad that happened early, because I was looking for it when you told me about
it. Sorry. I'm sorry.
No, it's fine. It wasn't a big spoiler. I was just like, is this the bodega cat scene? But yeah, I think it was handled better than I expected going in. I wish it was a little less... Yeah. A lot of people online are complaining that he developed his suit for him.
Whatever.
Like, I could get over that.
I liked that scene where he's like, no, because it proved the kind of person Spider-Man is, where he's like, I don't want all this special shit, just give me these webs. I just want the normal webs, Karen.
Yeah, Karen.
Like...
Karen is a standout character.
Yeah.
That was really funny.
That was really funny, yeah.
I remember the line of, is that, what was the love interest name? Lisa? Liz
Allen. Well, her last name isn't Allen, I don't think. But
oh, yeah, Liz. Yeah. So it's like, is that Liz? Tell her how you really feel. It's like, she's about to die. It's your chance. Like, no.
I did like the part where Iron Man isn't actually there.
Oh, yeah, in the river scene.
That was funny.
Yeah. And it's cool. Actually, that's the emotional punch right there. When... he saves the ferry, Iron Man, and then they're talking outside, and he's like,
that's true.
And he's getting really emotional, like, you're not even here, you're not even, like, it's not big enough a deal for you to even be here, but he actually shows up and comes out of the suit, like, no, I'm here. It's like, oh. Yeah. Because Tom Holland's, like, really, like, no one believes me, because I'm a kid, blah, 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 and I'm like, but I'm trying to do good. Yeah. So I got that emotional thing, it's like, yeah, he's really trying to do good.
He really is.
Yeah, so he's a good guy, because even when, in that party scene in the beginning where it's like, I'm going to show up as Spider-Man and get my cred and whatever, he kind of ditches that to go help. Yep.
And he realizes he has to make sacrifices.
Yeah.
You know.
So I mean, yeah, Tom Holland's a good guy.
Yeah.
Or Peter Parker, I should say. He's a good guy.
Well,
I don't know Tom Holland.
Ended up not making much of the decision because, you know, the love interest, Liz, ends up having another issue with her family tree.
Okay, let's see. We went through the Civil War stuff. Oh, let's talk about the Spider-Sense stuff now, real quick, because we've been talking about it a little bit, and people probably know a lot about it by now. But there is no Spider-Sense in this movie. It was bugging me throughout the whole movie because he was getting, like, cheap shotted and hit from behind the whole movie, and I'm like, where the fuck is his spider sense? Did it bother you as much as it bothered me?
It didn't bother me.
Really?
I mean, so we can develop it later or whatever.
I hope.
Maybe they're saving it for Miles. Maybe that'll be the difference.
I hope not. I hope he gets it because I want to see it. I want to see it because that's gonna be. I don't know when Miles
maybe he'll
is
go
coming.
into some Avengers training and then he'll realize he has to tap into some kind of chi-like soul thing.
Soul.
You know what I mean?
I feel like I liken it to Superman. Like a lot of his origin is like when he goes to puberty, he gets this like X-ray vision. Like if you see Smallville, like every episode he like developed a new power. Like I got X-ray vision now. I got heat vision now. I feel like since he's so young that when he turns 16.
He's so frantic and he's so impatient that, like, I feel like you need to be patient to be able to harness that Spidey sense. And Tobey Maguire was a kind of a more reserved character.
Well, I feel like, and this goes back to how long he's been Spider-Man sort of thing. Like, if he's only been Spider-Man less than a year, like, I could see him still develop his stuff.
Right.
You know, just like you develop your strength.
Mm-hmm.
So I hope that's, and what was that? You wrote about it, didn't you? Or I know I shared that story with you.
I did write about it briefly.
Yeah, where it was just like, the director, I think it was,
said that.
Oh, about the Spider Sense, why it was absent, and it was just like, because it was done already.
Right.
And it was just like,
I don't really believe that all the way.
I feel like they just didn't want to. I guess they didn't want to give it away.
Yeah.
But just like you're just saving it for later. Just. What I don't know. Anyway, that was just like one nitpick about the movie, which is like, where's the Spider Sense?
They'll hear the responses and they'll probably figure out a way to make the fans happy.
I know they're trying to make it like cool and unique to them, but like, you really can't do it any other way instead of having time slow down, sort of thing, like they have done. Like, how else are you gonna do it?
You don't. Yeah. I mean, I wasn't that pissed about it. I don't. You know, the kid's still he has all this agility. He's fast. He's strong.
But the Spider Sense is probably the coolest
part of
his...
Is what makes him Spider-Man.
That makes him unique. Because, like, literally no one else has it.
Yeah. Everyone's going to be strong and whatever.
Yeah. Because, like, even the webs is not really him. It's just him creating it. So it's just...
He's got to have some kind of innate ability, unique ability.
And that's, like, one of the coolest superpowers anywhere.
Right.
Just, like, I have this ability to tell me when danger's around and I can avoid a punch. I can avoid stuff happening. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
We'll see, hopefully, in number 2. But then we talked about the love interest. Let's just talk about the supporting characters then.
Yeah. Who was your favorite supporting character?
Ned.
You like Ned?
Ned is funny.
He was great. He stole the show sometimes. He
was hysterical.
Yeah.
Like...
The porn line.
I saw it coming and it still made me laugh.
Yeah.
I was going to say porn.
I love how long they waited. He was like... I love how long it is, because usually it's like a few seconds they'll spit it out, but he like really took his time. He was like, I don't know what the hell to say, and then he just blurted it out.
It reminded me of a Simpsons scene, which I won't go into because it's too long, but any Simpsons fans out there knows what I'm talking about. But it was just like, I'm looking at porn.
Yeah.
So it was funny.
I read somewhere, I think that was like the actor's idea.
Ad-libbed?
Yeah.
It makes so much sense, because like, what else would he be doing?
Right.
So it just makes sense for a teenager.
I love that scene where he goes into the school library. Like, that's so great, you know? It's not like he's, like, he all of a sudden needs to be, you know, Peter's number 2, so he just runs into the school library. Like, that's so great.
It was cool. Like, he actually helped him against the Shocker. Like, he actually used the webs on him. So then he was like, oh, here you go. And then, like, okay, get into a computer. And I left my phone in the Vulture's car and track him. I'm like, oh, that's another thing. This high school is pretty much a high school of geniuses, right?
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
Like, that's crazy.
That's awesome.
That's cool. Because it's like, even like Flash Thompson.
Yeah.
Who was never really a smart guy.
Right.
In the comics. Because it was a normal high school, I feel like, in the comics. Like, he's a smart guy, too. So everyone in that school is pretty smart. Mm-hmm. So...
I liked Flash, too. He's a very likable character, even though he was kind of...
He was pretty much a dick in this movie.
But he wasn't too much of a dick, you know?
He was more of a... It's weird because in other media he's a jock.
Right.
And he's not really a jock in this one. He's just a know-it-all who's not a rich. There you go. He's a richy brat, really, and who talks a big game, who doesn't, but he's really a baby.
Yeah.
So.
And you know what I liked? A lot of times you see like the characters responding to that, you know, that character that gives them a hard time, but Peter just ignored him.
Yeah.
And I love that because kids in high school like really need to learn how to do that. It's like someone's bothering you, don't give them the reaction they're looking for.
Yeah.
And I thought that was a really cool like way to kind of, it was a teen movie, and I liked these decisions they made about that. Like, I don't know. I guess that's all I have to say about it. But I did notice that I was like, Peter's not engaging in this bull. He's just doing his own thing. He's being himself. Like you said, like you pointed out at that party, he just kind of left and didn't feel the need to come back and show off his Spider-Man costume.
What's interesting, like the Andrew Garfield movies, and I think the Tobey Maguire movies did the same thing, where he was being bullied and he used his spider powers to get up on the bully.
Right.
Which is not really a noble thing when you think about it,
yeah.
especially when you're humiliating the other guy. So that goes along with the whole Uncle Ben thing anyway.
Yeah.
Which is another reason why I'm like, where's the Uncle Ben responsibility line? Because it seems like he already got that line, obviously.
Yeah.
So he learned it already, but it would have been nice to seen it.
Yeah, it would.
Because it looks like he's way more mature for his age.
He is, yeah.
Now, obviously, he's smart intellectually, and he does whine and does some teenage stuff. But he's pretty mature. Like when Flash was DJing and they were doing this chant about Peter Parker, he ignored it and left. He was just like, you know what?
I appreciate the creative team for giving the annoying kid an air horn. Did you notice that? Yeah. I was like, that's a classic signifier. Okay, this kid's annoying. Like because I was like, air horn. Only people who are obnoxious play the songs with the air horn in it.
It's like on his little mixer or whatever he was doing. That's funny. We had Flash, Ned. I liked. You like Ned? That was your favorite supporting character?
I liked Liz a lot.
You like Liz?
I liked Liz.
She did nothing for me. I would have to disagree.
Wow, that was so strong.
No, I'm just saying, like, because I definitely put that down on here because as a love interest, it was kind of, I don't know. It just did nothing for me. I don't know.
Did you not care for her, or was it her lines, or the way she was portrayed?
I guess it was a combination of her and her relationship with Peter. Like, there was, like, nothing there, you know what I mean? Like, it was obviously him pining over her, and then kind of, and I don't know. Cause I'm thinking about it now, I was like, I guess at the end it made sense. Like, oh yeah, I've always kind of wanted you to ask me sort of thing. Mm-hmm. And just, like, it didn't feel that way throughout the whole movie until the very end. And I was just like, okay. I
think, because he's one of those kids that's so smart but distracted all the time and always something else on his mind, almost like ADD kind of, so frantic. But I think she realized his potential, and I think that he was more quiet and reserved, and the guys that usually probably have a crush on her, like Flash, are so, like, in your face and blah, blah, blah. Mm-hmm. And I appreciated it. I appreciated a character like her who was the head of the decathlon, the academic decathlon, and she was kind of like a leader in that friend group. I don't know. I liked it because it was so innocent and like.
She wasn't okay. I liked it that she wasn't typical popular girl,
right?
Who's like mean and like like the popular one. She gave she was obviously everyone's smart in that school, but she was like. She was the head of the decathlon academic.
She wasn't blonde.
No.
Like, thank God.
No, she wasn't. She I like that she wasn't mean. Like, she gave other people a chance. Like, he was like 2 years younger than her. Right. She was a senior, I think. Mm-hmm. So she gave him a chance. Like, oh, I can see you just for your age.
I really like that pool scene where she's like, why don't you come swim or whatever, and like, that emotionally got to me.
Like that kind of turned it around for me a little bit. That it made sense at the end. Like, oh, maybe she does dig him.
Yeah.
A little bit.
But I think the signifier there is her character was definitely there to introduce the Vulture.
Yeah, because that's the twist, really. Yeah. That the Vulture is actually her father.
And that scene was the best scene in the movie.
That was the best scene in the movie because literally when he opens the door,
the whole audience,
and everyone gasped. I just went, oh shit. Everyone gasped. I went with my mom, my girlfriend. They both went, and I went, oh shit.
And everyone, I think everyone was confused on multiple levels because like the Vulture is like a white guy. And
it's Michael Keaton. So
yeah.
It's like,
and then when her mother comes out, there's like a second, like.
It's because we saw her briefly earlier. It's the one from the Jamie Foxx show. Ever watched that much show?
No.
It was the love interest. I forgot her name. It was like a French name. Anyway, so she's the mother, and so that's cool. Interracial marriage, you know, whatever. And they have the kid, and then so you don't really
put it together.
You don't put it together at all because there's no reason to think that he has a kid.
Right.
Like he mentions his family a lot, but you never thought about it. They did it really well. They hit it so well. So when he opens the door and he answers it.
I like the fact that they did that because it's like not all mixed race children like looked like mixed race. Yeah. Like as opposed to that they put Zendaya in that role, we probably would have maybe thought something else. You know what I mean? But I really like that because obviously the cast is very diverse. But it was little writing moments like that where I was like, okay, this creative team is really like hitting the nail on the head, you know? Yeah. I forget where I read it, but it was like diversity as subversity, which like is very true. It's just like
it's diversity, but not in your face.
Right. And it's like real world. It's not like they're using her character as like, okay, a placemat. We need an Asian American actor. We need like a woman of color. Like nothing felt like forced.
It was interesting because like Peter Parker was like one of the few Caucasians in that school.
Right. Yeah.
Like Flash was Indian, I think.
Yeah.
Right. He looked Indian. Obviously, Ned is like Hawaiian or something. Mm-hmm. Zendaya is mixed, and Liv is whatever. Yeah. So it was like. But like that's the supporting cast.
It was a Queens.
Yeah,
yeah.
That's
pretty much to high school.
Yeah, like he goes to the bodega. Yeah. You know, all the people he meets along the way are mixed.
What he speak Italian at the bodega?
No, it was Spanish.
Oh, was it Spanish?
Yeah.
I was like,
but the guy's name was like Italian, but it sounded Spanish.
I was confused about that moment. I was like, what?
It really sounded Spanish when he was talking about his daughter, which was a funny scene.
It was very funny.
I'm pretty sure that was Spanish.
Yeah. You know? Why wouldn't it be? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean it would be, but the guy's name was like Italian. Maybe it was mixed too.
Yeah. Who knows? Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, the love interests. I don't know. Just there was nothing wrong with it. Like I didn't hate her. But it was just like, it just did nothing for me.
It also, I feel like it was more subtlety. Like, in the past Spider-Man movies, the love thing has always been, in your face.
Because it's always, like, Mary Jane or Gwen.
Right.
Really.
And I appreciated that the whole movie was not about the freaking love interest of a high schooler. You know what I mean? And I also think because he was so young, that it didn't have to be as big of a deal because, when you're that young, it's like...
Well, I mean, put it this way. I like how it was structured after the Civil War stuff where it was like, yeah, Homecoming's coming. Like, Homecoming is near, and then the end of the movie is the Homecoming dance.
Right. Well, Homecoming as in the character is coming back to, like, Marvel, too, right?
Oh, yeah, obviously, that's a nod to that. Oh, yeah. But, like, I didn't have a Homecoming anything in my high school, but that's normally a thing over in high school, supposedly. Right. So, I like how that was structured. It was like, it's like a 2-week period. Yeah.
But now Liz is gone. She left the town.
Because let's talk about that scene. Because we'll talk about the Vulture now. Because obviously Liv is the daughter of the Vulture, and the Vulture. You mentioned it before. We start off the movie with Michael Keaton owning like a construction company, and after the Battle of New York, they were contracted by the city to clean up. Mm-hmm. So they have all this alien stuff, the Chitauri stuff, and while they're in and everyone's making money because it's a big contract. Damage Control. Yep. Which is a nod to comics, obviously, and they were contracted or created, I guess, this organization by Tony Stark. So Michael Keaton lost his job, and everyone lost their job. So that's a lot of money they lost. So, one of the weapons they forgot to bring in to Damage Control, and then they were like, "What are you gonna do?" Michael Keaton's like, "No, we'll keep it. We're gonna have to make our own way in this world," sort of thing. Right. The world is changing, they said. He kept saying.
So he was a good guy.
He was a good guy, even though he had like violent tendencies because he punched the dude out. Remember? Right. So he had some violent tendencies, and he had his crew.
What was all their names? Like we had the two Shockers.
Yeah, we had
Tinkerer.
That was the Tinkerer. That makes sense.
Yeah, the Prowler. He wasn't really in their crew though. He was kind of on a separate.
Donald Glover.
Yeah.
He was like just starting.
He was buying stuff.
So there was like 3 guys. One was the Shocker, who actually had like the gloves, and he kept calling himself the Shocker. He dies.
That in a really funny way.
He goes, "That wasn't the anti-gravity gun." No. Well, you're the new Shocker now. He gets to the other guy, and then the Tinkerer was always the one making the weapons. Mm-hmm. So, pretty much from whatever 5 years or whatever it is, from the time in the beginning, from the Battle of New York till present, they have been selling illegal weapons of these alien weapons, and weirdly enough, and he makes a point of it, that they've been under the radar from everybody until Spider-Man shows up, and now they're starting to get whatever. Right. So they've been making a lot of money, obviously, so they keep doing it. So the Vulture's motives are pretty much like almost like anti-rich. Yeah. Right? Where it was just like someone put it on Twitter, I think I saw, where it was like
he's standing up for the little guy, or
kind of. Yeah. But yeah, he saw his house and everything, and like how he lives in the suburbs. You know what I mean? It was like, I get it, but then he kind of became that in a way. But I liked his depth, of the character, where it was just like, I'm not just a bad guy to be a bad guy. I'm doing it for my family.
And then I think Peter understood where he was coming from.
Yeah, he tried to save him.
Yeah, he did save him.
No, well, try to save him before actually physically saving him. Which is like, look, you have your daughter, your family, stop doing this kind of thing. So I appreciated the Vulture in that, where they were just trying to make amends. Where like the original Shocker was obviously crazed and a bad guy because he just didn't care. There's always that one guy.
Weapons whenever he pleases out in the middle of the street.
That was one of the. That's always a trope in movies, like a crew. There's always that one guy who's just a little unhinged, So he wasn't obviously the bad guy, but he had his motives, and he profited from it, and it was selfish, but kind of unselfish in the same way because he did it for his family and for the families of everyone else too, his whole crew, because that was his argument to the damage control people. Like, look, we all need this money. And they were just like, well, take it up with Tony Stark.
And by the end, he just went too far. He was going after the Avengers, like the
that was helicarrier. That was supposed to be their last.
Yeah, their last heist or whatever.
Yeah, it was supposed to be the last heist, and they were going to do it again. But Spider-Man was like, nope.
Yeah. So Donald Glover's villain was a little underwhelming for me. I was like, but I loved the line where he was like.
Oh, that was the funniest part
when he was
of the
like,
movie.
if you're gonna do this, you needed to like learn how to do this part of the job better.
That scene was the funniest part of the movie, when we have a suit, like he hacks into, this is how smart Ned and them are. They hack into the suit, they take all the training wheel protocol. So now he has Karen, which is like another AI that he helps that helps Peter to do other things. So she goes, do you want to...
Interrogation mode?
Yeah, like extreme interrogation mode or something like that. Advanced interrogation mode. So it makes his voice so deep.
It was really funny. And Donald Glover's reaction was just like...
He's like, I don't know if you're a girl. Like, I don't know if you're a girl, a boy. I'm not a girl. I'm a boy. I'm a man. And like...
Donald Glover, it's like he had just smoked like 3 blunts, like at all times.
Yeah,
he was just like stoned
chill.
as hell, and he's just like, and it's like, I was not expecting that. I was expecting to be a little bit more talkative, but he was really just like a nice thug. Like, that makes sense.
Yeah, he was just like, it's funny because how he goes, he's like, yeah, I was there, but yeah, I was trying to buy illegal weapons, but I was just trying to get a regular illegal weapon. It was weird. I don't know.
And then he like webs his hand to the car, and he's like, come on, man, I got ice cream in there.
He says, hey, what are you going to do about this? Oh, it'll dissolve in like an hour or two. It's like, but I have ice cream in there.
He's definitely a stoner then.
Well, that's a whole other thing. So that was probably the funniest. That was too funny. But yeah, going back to the Vulture, and the best scene, like we were trying to allude to before, when you find out that it's the father of the love interest, Liz. They go into the house, and he's holding a knife and everything. He's asking him all these questions. And this would piss me off about Peter, because when they got into the car, and he was driving him to the thing, he doesn't know when to shut up or keep a poker face. He just kept looking at him. He's like, do I know you from somewhere? He's like, no.
He was terrified.
It's terrifying to think
I
about.
was terrified. I was like...
That was the tension in there when the car...
It was phenomenal.
Because they just kept looking at each other. Michael Keaton did a great job. Tom Holland did a great job.
Best acting moment of the movie, for sure.
Yeah, it was that whole car ride and then talking to each other and him... The vultures, like, putting everything together.
Yep.
Well, yeah, when my daughter almost died in D.C., it's, it's like, where were you? Kind of thing. Oh, I was outside with a friend. What was Zendaya's name? Michelle? Michelle, right? I was outside with Michelle, whatever. And he kept putting everything together, and he finally figured it out. I think it was the D.C. thing that figured it out. Helped figure it out. So when Liz goes inside, he goes, "Hey, go inside, sweetie." I forget what he calls her.
You're gonna have the man talk.
Yeah, you're gonna have a man. Okay, don't intimidate him too much. And then Michael Keaton comes up, takes out a gun, just goes. I was joking because what if he was wrong and he just pulled a gun out on some kid? So I'm like, oh, you have to be really confident. Just be like, I'm gonna pull a gun out on you.
I think it was a voice too. He recognized his voice.
Probably.
Yeah.
So it was funny because actually Peter Parker was trying to put on a really thick Brooklyn accent every time he talked as Spider-Man.
Oh, you noticed the accent troubles?
Like, yeah, he was trying to like get a Brooklyn accent. It was just like I guess it was intentional.
Brooklyn accent or?
It was Brooklyn.
Interesting. You're like I'm from the. I know.
No, it's funny because it's just I a Brooklyn accent, like they try to really lay it on.
Like, can you do one?
Oh no.
Come on,
not.
Phil.
No, I can't do one. Like, I can't even think of it.
I'm just trying to put you on the spot.
It's like Brooklyn, but it's like supposed to be like very heavy Italian almost.
Yeah.
So he was putting it on thick when he was a Spider-Man, trying to anyway.
Right.
But he was always like dropping out of it.
Yeah.
But yeah, he like pulls out the gun on him and he goes, "Look, you're gonna have two choices. You could like go in there and just forget this all happened, whatever, and we'll never talk again." Or, I'm going to kill you. That's pretty much what it was. I'm just going to kill you. And, he goes inside, but then he, like, kind of realizes, like, he's going to apologize to Liz, I got to go. Because he is, he has things to do. So, and that's when he, like, left his phone there, like, obviously purposely.
On purpose, yeah.
Mm-hmm. So, it was, and that's when we get the scene in the warehouse we talked about, and then to the final fight scene in the
What was your favorite action scene?
Probably the ferry.
You think the ferry?
Yeah, the ferry was pretty cool.
I really liked Coney Island. I don't know why. Yeah.
The ending?
Mm-hmm.
It was, me and Rocco, our social guy, we were talking about it earlier, just like, it was too dark and the camera was shaky a lot. I don't know, I couldn't get into that fight.
The Washington Monument took too long, I feel like.
It was funny because he's trying to climb up and he really can't.
Right, yeah.
So I was just like... Yeah, because it's like the elevator's coming down. Like that should have like fell a long time ago.
I guess the plane scene is the Coney Island, but half of it didn't happen on Coney Island. Like the actual when they're in the air was actually pretty thrilling.
It was thrilling, but it was just like too much going on at once. Like I couldn't really focus on what was happening.
Yeah.
Maybe that was just me, but yeah, when they actually landed on Coney Island, and there wasn't much of a fight though. I feel.
But
like,
once they crashed,
like because he saw the Iron Man, chest pieces, like that's what he really wanted.
Right.
Like he went to go get it, but his wings were malfunctioning, and he tried to hold him back, like, no, your wings are gonna explode or whatever.
Right.
And they did, and then it kind of looked like he was dead, but he went and saved them, and then he got arrested, and that was it.
If I'm going ahead, stop me. But what do you think about their relationship moving forward? Because it seems like the Vulture and Peter may have some kind of ally relationship.
Yeah, I was definitely going into that afterwards, where it's just like they kind of like talked, like, oh, like kind of thanks for saving me sort of thing. I like that they didn't kill him because Marvel villains normally are one-off. Yeah. Except for like Loki, like the only one, and Thanos, I guess. Literally everyone else is dead.
Yeah.
So keeping the Vulture around is really cool, especially now that he knows. Because now we'll go into the post-credits thing now.
Yeah, may as well, yeah.
That he's in
jail,
which I don't know where. Anyway, some island.
But he, like, sticks up for Peter, doesn't he?
Yeah, because we get an Easter egg. Mac Gargan was on the ferry, which is a part of another crew, and he's actually the Scorpion.
Right.
So he...
The tattoo, right?
Yeah, he had the Scorpion tattoo, and he fell off the ferry, and then you see, like, he had, like... messed up arm.
I guess I didn't peep that part. Yeah.
Yeah, like he fell off the ferry and like I was like, oh, did he die?
Yeah.
But then he showed up later.
So he went in the water.
Yeah, he actually fell into the water.
What is with all these people going into the East River? I swear.
We are surrounded by water.
It feels like, no, I would just swim away. I'm like...
I mean, I'll at least float until someone gets me.
If you're going in the East River, like, you're in trouble.
Oh, but that's different from where the vulture just threw him into the water.
He dropped like,
it was like
40 feet down.
I don't know how far down.
He was higher than like the bridge.
Was he attached to something?
No.
Is that why he couldn't swim?
I don't think it's not that he couldn't swim. He just went so spiraling down and then like.
But like I know he dropped it from high, but then you would come up, obviously.
Yeah, but still.
I feel like maybe he was attached to something.
You don't get scared. Like you don't think, oh, what if I like fell off this bridge?
I don't get scared.
Wow. Okay.
I'm just kidding. I don't get scared.
I would like die from like a panic attack. I would be like, oh my, and I'm a great swimmer, but you ask me to swim underneath a bridge or swim in the East River, I'm like,
That is scary, I'll give you that.
But, who knows what's in there? I'd probably turn into like a mutant. But yeah, so the Scorpion is probably gonna be what, Homecoming 2?
I'll think later than that, because he comes up to Vulture and is like, oh, I heard that you know the identity of Spider-Man.
Right.
And then Vulture just goes, if I did, he would be dead by now.
Yeah.
So I guess he's giving him the benefit of the doubt because he saved him one, and I guess for his daughter, right? Because the Vulture sends him to like Seattle, I think they said.
Yeah.
So while his trial in New York is going on, because he didn't want them to be there.
Involved, yeah.
So because the Scorpion, Matt Gargan was saying that there are a few guys outside who would want to team up, and that's pretty much saying like the Sinister Six, pretty much. So I don't know who would be in the Sinister Six, but definitely Scorpion and Vulture would be involved. So
you think Vulture's gonna get back involved into the villain stuff?
Yeah.
I kind of got the impression that maybe he was.
No, he won't want to get out.
You think he'll go for vengeance?
I don't know about vengeance, but he'll go along with it to get him out of jail and for his family.
Yeah. Michael Keaton was so good, he almost had me convinced he was maybe coming to the good side.
It might play. It's definitely going to play into something later.
He's definitely like an anti-hero, I would say.
Now he is, yeah. Like even like I said, his motives were really not evil.
Right.
Like I'm just doing this for my family.
Yeah.
And whatever happens, happens. But
that was really the only post-credit tease. The other one was kind of a silly one.
That was funny though.
Yeah, the Captain America
I'll give him
stuff.
that one. That was a troll.
Yeah.
I was very trolling.
I can't imagine Chris Evans standing there doing that.
He
seems
so
like a
funny.
serious guy.
No, he's not serious.
I think he's more of a serious guy.
No, he is.
You don't get that impression?
No, I think he's a jokester.
No, I don't know.
Not as much as like Chris Pratt.
Right.
But like I feel like I feel like he's shy, but I feel like he's a jokester in his own way.
I like that part where it's like, isn't he like a war criminal? Remember in Gym Class?
Oh, what's his name? What's that guy's name? That comedian.
I don't know.
Hannibal, right?
Yeah.
Hannibal, right? He's the gym teacher. They show him like this pre-taped thing of Captain America for detention.
Mm-hmm.
He goes, yeah, I don't care if he's a war criminal. We ain't gonna update this or something like that. Because everyone mentioned that like for the trailers, like why are they showing this thing of Captain America? He's a war criminal.
Yeah.
And he brings that up. He's just like, I don't care. It's like this is the only one we got.
The district can't afford.
The district can't afford a different one, so this is the one we got.
Did you peep any other like Easter eggs? I noticed the new Captain America shield, which I was asking everyone in the office. I'm like, what?
I didn't notice the actual shield itself because he mentioned it. He mentions it.
Yeah.
And he was talking about like Thor's belt or something.
Right, which is just the belt Thor's been missing. It's not a new belt.
No, I thought he was developing a new belt.
I don't know.
I feel like because he said like, oh yeah, I was developing a shield before Civil War happened. And he just kind of stopped doing
Rocco
all that.
pointed out to me, I don't know this, is that Tony Stark eventually like builds Captain America a shield that like he presses on his wrist and like it's like a
hot
right.
Yeah.
But I'm just wondering what happened to Cap's shield. Did he just loot where?
Did it break? I don't remember.
I don't know.
I gotta watch Civil War again.
I know.
It's been so long since I watched it. I gotta watch it. I don't remember what happens because they have the fight with Cap.
Ditched his shield because he's like, I'm not trying to be Cap anymore, so I'm just gonna.
Yeah, I think he just left it.
Yeah.
I don't remember.
Me either. Yeah.
But anyway, are there any other Easter eggs? Definitely the Scorpion one was the biggest one. The Miles Morales tease with Donald Glover saying my nephew. So that's Miles Morales. I guess we could talk about Zendaya.
Oh yeah, MJ.
Yeah, that's like really like a very end.
They teased a little romance. They did.
Well, she obviously was like, she kept saying like, oh, she was pretty funny though. I'll give her that.
She's very funny.
She was saying like, I don't. It's like, oh, I don't. It's not like I'm creeping on him or something. And she would just like look around. So I don't care what he does. Like, way in denial.
No, she's the head of the decathlon.
Now that Liz left.
Yeah.
Even though she was gonna graduate anyway.
Right.
But yeah, she definitely. She's the new one because she goes, yeah, my friends call me MJ. Yeah. And everyone's like, oh.
Because her whole thing was like, I'm an outcast, but she was like doing it on purpose. Like that was her identity of like being like other.
Yeah, cause she was like, she didn't want to be a part of any clique on purpose. Like she was just like, it's like, oh, you have friends? It's like, no, like why? Because Hannibal says it. Like, why are you in detention? I just like to draw people in there, like that state. It's just
in the stress state or whatever. Yeah.
But yeah, the rumor that she's MJ is right.
Yeah. Well, not MJ, like MJ, you know? Like, she just goes by MJ. She's not really, like, Mary Jane, you know?
You don't think so?
No.
I think she's Mary Jane. Doesn't matter. Maybe Michelle's her middle name.
No.
She's Mary
Michelle?
Jane. No. Michelle Mary.
No.
No?
No way.
You don't think Jane is her middle name?
Maybe Jane.
It's something like the Black Canary on Arrow. That's not really her name. Laurel's not really her name in the comics.
That's true.
Like they could just change it up a bit, but that's supposed to be MJ.
I think she's just gonna go by MJ, not any of the Mary Jane stuff. I think it's just gonna be a different MJ. I think people are gonna
call her MJ.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep. So I'm down for that. I'm totally down for that. MJ and Peter Parker are like one of my favorite couples in comics. So.
Yeah. So another thing, Peter turns down the Avengers offer.
Oh yeah, at the end, after he saves Tony Stark's stuff. They bring him up to the new Avengers compound, upstate New York, and it's funny because he has a new suit for him. It's like, hey, you know, I got a bunch like 40 media, and he goes like not bloggers or anything, like real media. He says out there waiting for you. We're gonna introduce Spider-Man to the world,
right?
And he turns it down, like you said. He wants to stay more to the ground, like he said, and. Yeah, he doesn't want to do it.
And then he turns around, he's like, this was just a test, right? And Iron Man's like,
yeah, it was just a test. And then, this is what shocked me. I didn't think Gwyneth Paltrow was in this movie.
Yeah.
Like, she shows up, Pepper Potts shows up and like, hey, we have a...
Where is he?
Oh, he actually made a very good decision and a grown-up decision. It's like, but what are we going to do? He's like, well, let's just say we're getting married kind of thing.
Yeah.
And then Happy makes that one good line. Was like, oh, yeah, I've been waiting for like 8 years. I've had this in my pocket for like 8 years, whatever it was. I think it's 8 years.
Yeah.
So.
That was a good way to end it.
That was a good way to end that little storyline. But yeah, I mean.
So best Spider-Man movie ever?
Nope. It's still.
You're holding strong.
I'm holding strong on Spider-Man 2. It's still like one of my top 5 superhero movies.
If I have to say, like, I definitely enjoyed watching this more. You know, but there's just something about that older Spider-Man movie that's always gonna have like a special
It still holds
place.
up.
Yeah.
Like they put it on cable. I have cable, and they put it on quite often.
I watched it the night before I saw it.
Oh yeah. Coming out. Like that train scene with Doc Ock is like one of the best. It's just like that's so cool, and that was done in like 2004
Very old.
or whatever.
Yeah.
So like
before
that was
Iron
really
Man.
good.
Yeah.
That was really good for the time, and it still holds up.
Yep.
So this one's pretty good.
Do you like Tom Holland better?
Probably.
Yeah.
Like this as a first movie, and not really an origin movie. This is probably the better one. Like it was this one or the first Tobey Maguire movie.
Really?
I didn't like the first. Like the first Amazing Spider-Man was okay. But there's nothing.
I don't know. The first Spider-Man movie didn't really do it for me that much.
It was for an origin movie. It was fine.
Yeah.
But this wasn't like it's hard to compare because this is not really an origin movie. So. This could be like number 2 easily. So
what do you think, to end things, you know, what do you think Spider-Man's role is going to be in Infinity War?
Just Spider-Man, I guess.
Because I saw some set stuff that they're like filming in Queens, like briefly. So I'm just wondering how he's going to tie into all this.
He could probably get that suit that he turned down.
Yeah. I wonder how many years later.
I wish it was gold and red like the comics.
That suit was awesome.
The Iron Spider suit, that's cool.
Yeah. That is cool. The armor suit, you know?
Yeah. I don't know what it's going to be. Because maybe Tony Stark dies. And he's like, "Oh my God, my father."
my second father.
My second father.
Tony Stark is such a bad mentor. Like, it's not even funny. Like,
it's Tony Stark.
I know.
You know,
the movie made me hate Tony Stark. I'm like, nah. I'm like Team Cap, like all the way. Like,
I've always been Team Cap.
Yeah. Captain America always kind of bothered me a little.
Why?
He's so like America. Like,
he's from the 20s.
I know.
Whatever 40s, whatever World War II was.
I know, but I don't know.
He's from that era, so he's a man out of time. So he's supposed to be a very upstanding gentleman.
I guess just because like the first Iron Man is like probably one of my favorite movies of all time, so I'm a little bit biased, and I didn't enjoy Captain America movies as much, and I didn't really like Civil War that much. Like, I liked it, but it didn't do anything.
Winter Soldier is the best MCU movie ever.
You think so?
Yep. What's better? The first Iron Man? Nope.
It's not better, no. I mean, Winter Soldier...
Winter Soldier's so good.
It is very good.
It is so good.
So I have to sit on that. We'll have to revisit that next Cape Talk.
Maybe
I'll tell you my favorite.
We'll have to do a power rankings.
Yeah, we might have to.
Oh, the best MCU movies.
It'd be easier than writing the list. That's for
yeah,
sure.
We just talk about it for a while. Oh, we'll write that down later.
Yeah.
Any other closing thoughts?
It was worth the $15.
That's good.
Yeah.
Top 5 MCU for you? Homecoming?
Top 5. Ooh.
You need
Well, there's going to be a spot saved for Black Panther, obviously.
Oh, guys. Yeah. Wow, okay.
I'm saving it now because obviously.
The movie hasn't even come out
I
yet.
know, but.
We haven't got a proper trailer yet.
You know, I would put it in top 5. I really would.
Okay.
I think
That's
it would
fair.
be maybe number 5.
That's fair.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's fair. It's really good. I feel like I will enjoy it with more watches.
And I think Tom Holland will really grow into the character as well, because he's really growing at the same pace as this character. He's still a youngster. He's still learning to mature. So I think it'll be interesting to see what his take on it is and what he brings to the table personally. You know. Yeah.
Yeah, I enjoyed it. I have high hopes. I liked him in Civil War, and I liked him in this one. So.
Yeah. All right.
2 thumbs up.
Well, we'll leave it on that, you guys. Thanks for watching, and come back next week because we're gonna have way too much to talk about on one episode.
The San Diego one. Yeah, we're gonna try to do it from San Diego. So peep that.
Bear with us on that.
Yeah, follow YouTube. Payer.One now.
Payer.One.
Yeah, not iDigital Times anymore. My Twitter handle's on there. It's correct. Yours is not correct.
There's another N there. Autumn Noel with 2 N's. So.
Yes. So. Yeah.
The correct one will be in the YouTube. Summary.
Be sure to check that out. Check out Payer.One. We're gonna be in San Diego.
Yeah.
Starting next Tuesday, and that show starts Wednesday, the preview night. So we'll be there all week. So be sure to check out the website, the YouTube, and Twitter, and all that good stuff.
All right.
Yep. See you guys later.